I was at a Chinese restaurant the other day, and there was a group sitting next to my table. A guy was staring at the Chinese menu and was talking to his friend. Hey, I wonder what all these Chinese symbol means. Chinese characters seem so interesting. So I walked up to him and I said, hey, do you know that I'm a Chinese teacher? Are you interested in learning Mandarin? Now, you might think that I'm nosy for intruding into people's conversation like that, but I'm just genuinely interested in helping people to learn. Every time when I see the incredible potential in a person, when I see that someone is genuinely interested in knowing or learning something, I cannot resist but to encourage them and to offer my help whenever possible. I started teaching when I was 17 because of two reasons. The first reason is because I constantly found myself bored and disinterested. I wanted to do and to be something useful while earning some pocket money on the side. The second reason is because I constantly found myself imagining how I would give a course or teach a subject if I were the teacher, while I spent my time daydreaming in class. I was inspired by teachers who treated me like a person, especially those who were genuinely interested in my personal growth and development, rather than those who insisted me to memorize on all the quickly forgotten stuff. During my 7 years of teaching experience, I came to realize that teaching is dependent on the interpersonal relationship, even more so than the subject matter. When I was pursuing my first bachelor degree in Taiwan, I signed up for an online voluntary teaching program. Every Wednesday and Friday evening, I would go online, set up my webcam, and speak with Brian. My assigned subject was math, and Brian was a 9-year-old boy who lives in a remote and underprivileged area in Taiwan. The reason for our class to commence late in the evening is because parents of these children were unable to pick them up after regular school hours. So my task was to help Brian with his math homework from 7 till 9 p.m. until his dad could pick him up. The first 15 minutes of the class were new and exciting as we introduced ourselves via a low-resolution webcam. With the help of the virtual blackboard, I was able to write and draw math-related questions for Brian to solve. But 30 minutes later, he tells me that he's tired as it was late in the evening and that he had had regular classes all day. He tells me that he hates math and loves languages. He wants me to read him Chinese stories instead. At that moment, I was quite disappointed and frustrated with myself because I was not able to inspire him nor motivate him to like math. So I thought to myself, how can I teach this kid math if he doesn't even like it? What's the point of our voluntary teaching program if the children do not even want to learn in the first place? So I asked him, why do you hate math? And it turns out that he's just as lazy as I was when I was at his age. He's only motivated for subjects he's good at, such as languages, rather than subjects that requires lots of effort and practice. Understanding the situation, I tried to come up with a solution. I said, all right, since you hate math, we won't do it as much in class. But math is very important as you need to count and calculate. Otherwise, you won't even realize it when people give you less change when you buy things. I tried to make the subject as relevant to him as possible. So I asked about how much food costs in his school canteen and used the prices in simple math equations to test his understanding of the syllabus of the day. He was able to answer 10 math questions that I wrote on the virtual blackboard accurately because he already had done similar exercise at that school. As such, I realized that it's unnecessary for me to repeat the same things, which would only bore him. So we made a deal. In the beginning of the class, he should be able to answer 10 math questions accurately. If he made one mistake, I'll give him 4 more questions to practice until he has mastered the equation. After that, he's free to do whatever he wanted to do, as long as he doesn't disturb his classmates. At the end of the class, I will tell him what he ought to know for the next week. He's free to learn in his own time, or not at all. If he doesn't know what he should know, then his meeting with me will be spent on solving math problem. This little deal has an immense impact on Brian's learning of math. He really enjoyed the time we spent together focusing on things that he was interested in, such as reading interesting stories to each other, asking me questions about random things in life, expressing how he felt about his family situation and things happening at school with his friends. He practiced math daily and learned faster than the regular syllabus, just so we could talk about things that are important and relevant to him when we meet. 6 months went by until we, the volunteers of the program, finally get to meet all the children personally as they had a field trip to Taipei to celebrate Children's Day. It was a joyful day for both of us, finally getting to meet each other after all the online interaction and exchanging of letters. We were really happy to be able to just spend a couple of hours having fun together at the carnival. My teaching experience with Brian taught me one important lesson. Teaching and learning is personal. I may teach him math, but I also teach him trust, responsibility, and empathy. I believe one person can only get to know him or herself by interacting with another person in a meaningful way. The student-teacher relationship can be as meaningful and influential regardless of age. Now, Brian was one of my youngest students, and now I'm going to introduce you another story from my other student, who's in her late 50s. My uncle gave my aunt a laptop in 2011. She did try to figure out the laptop herself, but all she knew was how to plug in the power and press the on and off button. She had no idea where to start. Knowing that I'm a teacher, she came to me and asked, "Would you teach me how to use the computer?" I happily agreed, and I would give her a computer lesson for 2 hours every Sunday. This is an entirely new experience for me, as I have never taught anyone how to use a laptop before. Everyone around me just knows. So, my first attempt to explain the desktop failed, as I was going too fast because I was not used to teaching older adults, and I did not put myself in her shoes. After seeing the confused look on my aunt's face, I decided to change the way of my teaching. I encouraged her to use the mouse and press on anything she wants and see what happens. And then I'd like her to guess, tell me what it is and what it is for. She was very afraid to try anything, but I assure her that the laptop will not break down, it will not get a virus suddenly, because I'm just right next to her. She quickly gained confidence when I told her that she has successfully guessed what a folder is, how to drag files into them, and figure out what right-clicking the mouse does. That one is really tricky. Half a year later, she was able to send emails, create a Facebook profile, a Skype account, and design photo albums using a desktop photo book software to print her favorite photos. The best part of this is that she shared her experience with her friends and teach them how to use the computer herself. She was able to confront her fear and anxiety for things that are absolutely new to her and pass that experience on to her peers. It is a ripple effect. I don't think it is necessary to follow the conventional pattern of the contemporary educational institution. Teaching is not confined to the classroom. Anyone can start teaching skills, languages, or subjects that interest him or her. You can teach your brother how to cook, you can teach your sister math, you can teach your cousin how to sing or play an instrument, if you know how to do those things, of course. Perhaps someone Dutch can teach internationals like me on how to not get their bike stolen. If someone were to have a workshop on that today, I would sign up right away, given my frustration for losing 3 bikes in 2 months. I'm really, really bad at this. Now, this mode of teaching that I've just described is not often practiced in school. We tend to expect educational institutions to be responsible for most of our learning, and yet we forget that everyone is responsible and that everyone has a part to play. Teaching is seen as a very distinct service to be provided by these institutions, as we seem to forget that teaching is an essential part of life. Family members, co-workers, anyone who we are in contact with in our daily life may teach us directly or indirectly from time to time. We are both teachers and students ourselves. It is part of life to engage in the learning of the process of learning, a continuing openness to experience and incorporation of oneself into the process of constant change. I found my teaching most effective when I was being genuine. By expressing and accepting the emotions that I was feeling at that moment, I successfully created trust. Students show me their vulnerable side in return, just like when Brian admitted that he hates math because it takes a lot of practice, and just like when my aunt admitted her computer illiteracy. A teacher can only realize the student's full potential by accepting them without judgment. Once trust is established, the student and teacher can begin to discover the appropriate teaching process that is most effective for the student. The truth is that most of our learning happens outside of the educational institutions. Therefore, it is time to take learning into our own hands. It is pointless to confine the definition of teaching to the profession because it is so much more than that. Instead of focusing on institutions, we can begin improving our education by teaching ourselves and the people around us. I would like to ask you all to try to teach and to be open to be taught. In our daily lives, we are all valued on the basis of our social behavior, not by our grades. The ability to teach comes with the ability to change, to adapt, and to be social. There is a huge social component in teaching and learning. Learning is influenced by the manner in which you are taught and the personal relationship with your teacher. Teaching is facilitating the process of seeking knowledge. Teaching is helping someone else to grow and to be better than before. If you're interested in realizing your potential through teaching and unleashing others' potential, please start today. I would like to end my talk with a quote from Carl Rogers from his book, Freedom to Learn. The only man who is educated is the man who has learned how to learn, the man who has learned how to adapt and change, the man who has realized that no knowledge is secure and that only the process of seeking knowledge gives a basis of security. Thank you very much.